Hey guys, how are y'all doing? Listen, I just had to ban somebody. That's how we're starting off. Don't do it on Godfather weekend. Got a little bit of the Godfather in me. Don't do it on Godfather weekend. Okay? Please don't do it. How are you guys doing? Welcome to today's a lot to cover. We're talking about Fani and the case where there is a Georgia lawmaker actually suing Fani Willis. I have dug up the court document, so we have that. In addition to that, the lawmaker, Mesha Mainor, there's a speech that we're going to watch as well. About 2 days ago, I think it was Tuesday at this point, she had said a few words about this particular lawsuit, where she intends to take this lawsuit, what she believes Fani and team have done, all of those things. We're going to dive right into it. Okay. So again, just so you know what we're going to look at, we're looking at receipts. All right. I've got the original document right here. Okay. Mesha Mainor suing Fulton County, suing the Fulton County Ethics Board, suing the Fulton County DA's office. Fani Willis, her name is indicated right here. It's right here, guys. This lawmaker in Fulton County is suing the Fulton County DA's office. It has to do with the story surrounded around stalkers. I know you guys don't like corruption. We don't like it over here on this channel, but we're going to look at what this lawmaker is saying in particular about how Fani's office could have handled things a little bit differently. Fani's office dropped the ball. All right. So we're going to look at this document. We're also going to see what Mesha had to say publicly. This is the first time that she's talked about it in some time. But before we do that, I want to see what we have in the who we have in the building, and we're going to go from there, give you a few channel updates, all of those things. Firstly, I want to see who we have in the building. Say hi to a few of you guys. Hello to Tyree, who says he's first. He said, what up, chat? Hit that like button. And guess what, guys? Tyree is right. When you hit the like button, you're doing me a favor. What is that favor? When you hit the like button, you're telling the YouTube algorithm, hey, this content's kind of good. Something's going on over there. People are over there. They're watching stuff. I don't lock you guys out yet. Had a lovely conversation with lead attorney yesterday. We'll be back soon. But I don't lock you out yet. I'm really nice with it. I'm nice. So if you can hit the like button, likes are free. It takes legit a millisecond of your time, and it will get this across the algorithm. And I do think, honestly, and you guys tell me, I think this story needs to be spread out a little bit more than it has been. It's been a little muted. So let's unmute this story by you guys hitting the like button. Shout out to Michael, who's in Louisiana. He's in the building. He says, let's go. Like, that's how a Louisiana person would say it too. So shout out to Michael. He's in here. Hey, TS says, gonna go ahead and pre-like the video. See what I mean? Look at that. TS is giving you guys pre-likes. I love that. Hi, Debbie. She says, hey, AV in chat. Good to see you, Debbie. Who else do we have in here? I see E. Capone, one of the faves in the community. He says, Fani look hungry in this thumbnail. I mean, there's a lot going on with Fani. There's a lot happening. There is a lot happening. All right, I'm just doing a quick scan. Shout out to William the Dank, late and of question. Oh my God, William, do you want to get blocked too? I'm not playing. I am not playing on Godfather weekend. Don't play with me, William. Thank you, E. Capone, for saying, why is that being brought up? Do you guys think I'm a lesbian? Is that what this guy is saying? Oh, man. We got to get some more mods in the building. Do you see what I go through as a YouTuber, guys? Look at how we start off. I'm coming in with positivity, with notes, doing research, and this is what we walk into. The internet is crazy. Fani Willis GA says, hi, Fani here. Good to see you, Fani. Welcome to the chat. One of our favorite people has entered the chat. Fani's in here. People has entered the chat. She's here. Shout out to Seven Figures, who says, good afternoon, AV. Mama Joe's is in the building as well. Tips and Trips is in here. Tyrell is in here. Veterans Music Project, Ain't No Drama. Thaddeus is in here. Brian's in here. Okay, I think we have said, and another one of my faves, Nurse Janice, I think we have you at a reasonable hour today, Nurse Janice. It can't be that late in the UK. Good to see you. Sherilyn's ready for the tea. We're all ready for the tea. Shout out to Thaddeus. So many of you guys are in here and we're ready to go. Hey, Eric, Diane's in here as well. Listen, this is all about community. I see a few other questions that I'm not going to address right now. RT is in the building as well. Miss Property Manager says, I'll happily be your mod. You look fabulous as always. Excited to hear what's going on with Miss Fani and Miss Property Manager. Love the outfit. Good to see you. All right, let's go. Let's go, guys. Are we ready for the tea? Before we do that, one thing. I know you're itching to get into it. Number one, today's stream is sponsored by Chalkboard Candle. You guys know I've been pushing these guys for a little bit. Why? American company. They are based out of Minnesota. Mother's Day is coming. Next week is Teachers Appreciation Week. It's also, I think it's like Small Business Week next week, or it's Small Business Month. I like this company because they are local in the Minnesota area. Hand poured candles. It's not the crap. It's not the glass. These are ceramic. They are coconut wax. They have a candle that says "That was cute" with my name on it. It says AV on it. All right. You can get this candle in many scents. I will drop it after this. I haven't put it in yet, but there is a link that will be in the description box if you want the candle. I'm going to light it because these guys are awesome. Mother's Day is coming. And if you want to support local teachers, when you purchase that candle, you get 15% off using the AV7 code. And also on top of that, you're giving back to a cause. We're supporting local teachers by making this purchase. I could work with so many vendors, and I tell you guys all the time, people email me all the time, like, push my product, do this, do this, do this. I work with these guys because you're giving back for a cause, right? Whether you're a man or a woman, when you make a purchase with them, you're doing something that's giving back to our community. And I think that's fantastic. Okay. All right. That being said, looking at the agenda, we know we're going to cover those two things. I want to go to Mesha's speech first. Okay. Because Mesha is talking about this lawsuit. She's also talking about what her, experience has been like in Fulton County. Keep in mind that she is a Georgia lawmaker and has been a Georgia lawmaker for quite some time. I also want you to think about the experience that she's having as a lawmaker and not just like a regular citizen. This is a lawmaker that's going through this in Fulton County. So why don't we go ahead and screen share and we're going to look at what she has to say first, and then go from there. So we're going to make this big. Let's go.
My lawsuit against Fani Willis, Marvin Arrington, and the Fulton County Ethics Board stems from this necessity. Stalking, often misunderstood, involves repeated, unwanted behavior, causing fear or distress. It's a serious issue affecting millions annually, with most victims knowing they're stalkers. The Netflix documentary, Can I Tell You a Secret?, sheds light on this issue. Stalking behaviors include harassment, intimidation, and even violence. Despite its prevalence, misconceptions persist, hindering support for victims. Stalkers exploit various tactics, from relentless calls to spreading rumors. They often target former partners and engage in something called proxy stalking, which involves third parties. Victims endure emotional trauma, and the risk of violence is significant, especially with intimate partner stalkers. The failure to address stalking perpetuates the cycle of abuse, highlighting the importance of legal measures like the Prosecuting Attorneys Qualification Commission, or PAC. It's crucial to support victims and hold accountable those who neglect their duties, ensuring justice for everyone. Stalking is repetitive. Stalkers create a pattern of repeated unwanted attention and contact towards a person.
And just to give you guys a little bit more context as we get into this, I have the legal documents, so we're going to break it down a little bit further into this video. State Representative Mesha Mainor is suing Fani Willis. She is a victim of stalking. She had a stalker, okay? While she was running for office as one of the Georgia House of Representatives, she had a man that was, a little bit too obsessed with her, okay? A little bit too obsessed. Some of it is really creepy behavior. At first, I was very skeptical until I saw the legal doc that I'm going to show you guys in a few moments. But what Mesha is talking about here is she is saying, hey, I was a victim of stalking. I'm a state representative. I don't think that the DA's office handled my particular case with care. Now, again, we talk about this a lot on this channel. If a president can be treated in a specific way in the state of Georgia, but now what we're also seeing is a representative isn't treated in the best way and the fairness of the justice system, okay? I want you guys to hear it from Mesha herself, and we're going to go from there. But just so you have some context, she was a victim of stalking and did not feel as if Fulton County did all that they can do to protect her in what she went through. So let's go back to Mesha and go from there.
It's an obsession I don't believe they themselves even realize. Their focus is unrelenting towards the victim. A stalker harasses and intimidates a person over and over without ceasing. Examples of stalking are showing up at someone's home or their job uninvited. If Fani Willis investigated my case, she would have spoken to my secretary at the Emory Healthcare, who would have shared with her, my stalker repeatedly came to my job to harass me.
Wow.
Repeatedly calling victims at unreasonable amount of times. It could be up to 50 times a day, but they'll make up excuses or lie as to why they had to call you 50 times. Stalkers will cash app you money unsolicited, and you have to block them from sending you money. Stalkers will repeatedly wait for you at your car and surprise you with the "I was just in the area." Stalkers will also call you from other people's numbers once you block them. Stalkers will leave threatening voicemails on your phone, vacillating between thoughts of undying love and hate if you do not call them back. They'll send you letters to their victim's job in an effort to try to get them fired. They will try to blackmail you. They file motions to appeal their restraining order because they truly believe they are not a stalker. Stalkers get other unknowing and knowing third parties to harass and intimidate you. Proxy stalking. Stalkers will stalk former spouses, friends, sexual partners, or people they sexually assaulted.
Jay, stop it.
They spread rumors about their victims, and they do everything they can to belittle and humiliate their victims. Once they realize they can't have you, disgust for their victims sets in, and they try to destroy the person's life. When people repeat rumors they heard from a stalker, they are unknowingly participating in stalking the victim. There are approximately 13.5 million victims of stalking in the United States every year, and I want to give you a few stats. 67% know the person stalking them. They aren't strangers, as most believe. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men are stalked. 16% of transgender people.
Let's stop for a second, because I think we're having some great dialogue in the chat right now. You don't hear about stalking as much on the interwebs. We don't have conversations about this stuff enough, right? Now, the interesting thing, and shout out to Jay, he's a longtime follower of mine. He's saying he doesn't believe her in his cap, and some shout out to Audrey. Audrey's like, hey, it sounds like a true obsession. It is interesting, guys, because we don't talk about this stuff. A lot of people do, celebrities and things, they have stalkers. Now, what becomes interesting, and Jay, I think what we'll see once we get into the document itself, there is a level of, once a victim of alleged stalking, identifies, hey, I could be stalked right now. This person is just a little bit too cray-cray. There is a level of accountability and some things that we need to do once we feel like we're in danger and things like that. That requires filing police reports, things like that. But Jay, I hear you. I mean, if your stalker is sending you a Cash App, the question becomes, did you accept the Cash App? Listen up. These shenanigans happen, but at the same time, I really do think that when we get into this legal document, both men and women, and we see it, we're like, all right, maybe she's right. Because this is where I was at the beginning. I'm like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? But one thing that I think this audience really appreciates is sniffing out corruption on both sides. When we see what Mesha says in this document, particularly about the Fani Willis office, I think it might change your mind a smidge, just a smidge. So I know right now we're listening to this, but I wanted you guys to start with what Mesha is coming out and saying. Mesha's going to war right now. Mesha is speaking out publicly about her experience. So I want us all to keep an open mind about her experience, but I got the receipts and I think it'll change your mind a little bit. I think it will. So keep an open mind. Let's do that. Let's do that, right? But let's go back to Mesha and what she's saying about her stalking experience. And we'll go from there. She is right now in the middle of raising awareness. I think she's doing the political thing. She's using a few statistics about stalking, and then she's going to dive a little bit deeper into the experience that she had. So let's go back to Mesha.
% know their stalker from work. 75% receive unwanted calls. 57% have their stalker show up unexpectedly. 52% are surveillance, 40% are targeted by intimate partners. They threaten to share intimate images of their victims. 74% of former intimate stalkers report violence. 1 in 5 use weapons to threaten or harm their victims. It increases for intimate partners by 3-fold to make it a fatality. 22% of them will post inappropriate things and personal information of their victims online. Some common misconceptions: they're strangers. They're not. They will eventually stop. If you ignore it, they will stop. Online stalking is not as bad as physical stalking. For those listening, there's a 24/7 National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 1-800-799-SAFE or 7233. There's also a 24/7 National Sexual Assault Hotline, 1-800-656-HOPE. Victims of domestic violence and stalking deserve to be heard, especially when faced with reluctance from authorities like the district attorney, Fani Willis.
Oh, here we go. Now she's going in.
The fear and anxiety victims endure are compounded by the constant vigilance required to protect themselves. In my own experience seeking justice from Fulton County DA Fani Willis, I discovered concerning actions that were brought to my attention from an investigative reporter.
Here we go.
It revealed collusions between my stalker, aided by Fulton County Commissioner Marvin Arrington, who also served as my stalker's personal attorney.
This is the problem.
This conflict of interest is...
This is, I mean, okay, so we have the issue of stalking. I think we all started there. She called out Fani just now, right? And here's why. Because the stalker had a lawyer. And the stalker's lawyer was a former commissioner. Okay? When I tell you guys, I looked at this legal document and I saw what the commissioner was doing. We're going to reveal all of the tea and the receipts. So yes, the stalking thing, some of us might disagree on it, but let's go back in here because it's about to get real. It's about to get real. Oh, and for anyone that was curious about Chalkboard Candle, I just went in and put it in the description box if you're interested. So it is there and available now.
It's alarming as it compromises the very justice system meant to protect victims. Despite presenting numerous witnesses, DA Willis did not interview one single witness.
Woo!
Over
Fanny!
20 were presented, including my pastor after he joined my church.
Fanny!
This pattern of neglect and misconduct persisted, violating my rights under Marcy's law as she offered a plea deal without consenting me. The passage of the Prosecuting Attorney's Qualification Commission is a vital step towards accountability, providing recourse for citizens failed by the system. Fulton County Commissioner Marvin Arrington chose to take a stalking case against a state representative.
He did.
All while he oversees and appropriates funds to the DA's office. As a criminal defense attorney, Fulton Commissioner Marvin Arrington defends his clients in the same courtroom he appropriates and has unlimited access to the judges. DA Willis is charged to represent victims in Fulton County, the very people Commissioner Arrington's private clients seek to dismiss claims against. Two attorneys, family friends, law school classmates, opposing each other with one having the authority to chop up charges to benefit the other, and one with the authority to vehemently advocate for funding. A perfect storm for an unknowing victim. During jail calls, Commissioner Arrington and my stalker plotted various actions, including manipulating judges, leveraging political influence, and conversations that were had between Commissioner Arrington with Fani Willis before she was even sworn into office about my case. Commissioner Arrington discusses getting favors from the chief jailer of the Fulton County Jail on behalf of my stalker, and the criminal behavior of other elected officials, past and present, is discussed on these jail calls. Despite presenting numerous witnesses, DA Willis contacted no one. DA Willis and ADA Yolanda Mack admitted awareness of judges favoring Commissioner Arrington. She never fought for me as a victim, a Fulton County resident. She was always in the pocket of the commissioner and retaliated against me after I contacted the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Violence Against Women. Because
do you guys just hear what she said? So whether we believe her or not, and this is going to sound bad because here's the thing, like it's always hard for me if I take a guy's side, the women hate me. And if I take the women's side, the men hate me. It's very hard to call it down the middle. So I choose the side of the law. What did this state official, this state representative just say? She said, hey, I have what I believe is a stalker. I've reported it. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do. I've filed police reports. Yes, he sent me cash apps. I've done these things, right? I filed a lawsuit against this guy. We took it to court, right? I'm a state representative. It's very important for her to do that as a state representative. She followed the legal system. What happens? The stalker, and here's the thing, everybody's like, hey, she knows a lot about the stalker. Well, she also just said that there's an investigative journalist that did work on this, and this is how she found out the information, right? Hopefully this person has done their footwork properly. Let's hope, right? But the investigative journalist had done all of this footwork and discovered the jail phone calls, where this commissioner who became the stalker's attorney, the defendant, they're on the phone. My editor is chopping something up for you right now. You'll have it tonight. You're going to be able to listen to the jail phone calls. I'm not going to play it because we have too much to cover right now. But I actually have the audio from those jail phone calls. You guys will be able to hear it. Okay? And you're going to be able to see that this commissioner, he's in another job as a commissioner. The fact that you're picking up criminal defense work is a little weird. Now, because he was colluding with the district attorney's office, and here's one thing I will say, I'm going to be fair to Fani on this. It is an inherited case, meaning that this was already going on with Mesha. This was already going on before Fani came into office. So it is a case that was ongoing before she stepped into her role. Now, in Mesha's court document, we're going to look at it together. We're going to see how she's saying, you know, there are things that happened under the prior regime, Paul Howard. A lot of people were saying that Paul Howard was super corrupt. But some of these things happened before, you know, it got passed on to Fani. She did this press conference not even 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago. And she is now putting it on Fani because Fani is the current district attorney. So I do want to preface it by saying that. The bombshell that we just heard, and I'm going to go back 20 seconds. Mesha, as a state representative, said Fani's team didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to investigate my claims. And I went to the Department of Justice to let them know that Fani didn't do anything for me. If a state representative is having issues, right? What do normal citizens in Fulton County, what can we expect? I'm sitting in Fulton County right now. What if AV had a stalker? Guys, like what if I legitimately had some dude that was stalking me? And maybe it's a woman. Forget gender. Maybe I have a stalker that's just always following me around. And that happens. Like sometimes when Lead and I are hanging out and we're out and about, people are like, hey, lead attorney, how you doing? I was at the car wash like a month ago. Somebody was like, hey, are you AV? It happens. It happens. You know, like I have a tiny YouTube channel compared to Lead's, but it happens, right? This is a state representative that's like, and guys, like, hear me out too. If you have a sister or your mom and somebody was following them around, like you'd be like, all right, dude, like what's happening? What is happening here? You would want some more facts because we're all naturally skeptical. But if your sister or your mom made these claims in court, and if the district attorney's office is not going to do anything about these claims, I'm pretty sure you'd be upset too. That's all I'm saying. We are going to look at the court document. I'm pretty sure you'll change your mind. Just keep an open mind. Stick with me. Stick with me. We'll get there. But let's go back to Mesha's speech. I'm having to explain a lot for Mesha. So I will say that, guys. I'm having to do a lot of that. But let's keep going.
As DA Willis repeatedly allowed my stalker to be released on bond for non-bondable crimes and failed to notify me of court proceedings repeatedly. She never mentioned to the court her conflict of interest and that she was discussing my case with her close family friend and my stalker's attorney, Commissioner Marvin Arrington, before she was even sworn into
dear
office.
woke Christian.
The Georgia Democrat Party's decision to grant a convicted felon previously jailed for 1 year for aggravated stalking, allowing him access to voter data poses a serious risk to every Fulton woman.
No, Jay.
Campaign software driven by GPS data exposes private information of registered voters without considering the implications of allowing unqualified individuals on the ballot. Today, accountability is paramount, especially with the Fulton County DA failing to assist citizens affected by domestic violence, stalking, or unjust incarceration. The establishment of PAC offers a crucial avenue of justice, addressing challenges faced by non-legal professionals in navigating complaints against misconduct. Recent legislative changes led by Commissioner Bob Ellis ensures that offices funded by Fulton County adhere to ethical standards, safeguarding the rights of citizens.
Is that happening,
The communities
Sergeant?
I represent are disproportionately affected by DA Willis's office, particularly those with underperforming schools. Despite laws mandating timely indictments, Many languish in jail for months without resolution. Fulton County's jail stay average is 291 days. The national average is 30. 37% of inmates are unindicted in the jail. 3 people unindicted have sat in the jail longer than 2 years. This prolonged detention often is overcrowded.
Okay, here's the other thing that she's doing right now, because it is a political speech, guys. So it started with, I'm a victim of stalking. It started with a shot at Fani. Her office didn't do anything about my stalking. She let the guy go. Sergeant is saying that the stalker is going against this girl, or sorry, not girl, is actually up for election. He's campaigning against Mesha. That's wild. If that is real, I mean, that is wild, right? Again, for those that are like, she hasn't been a victim of stalking, AV. I'm telling you guys, just be patient. I have the legal document. We're going to look at it together. You decide, right? But the other thing that she's about to do right now is she's also going to include some facts about how Fani's team has operated when it comes to people sitting in jail for crimes for too long, right? So I'm going to bring it back to her. I know it's involved with that. Like, either people are sitting in jail for too long, either awaiting trial, or they're sitting in jail for too long for crimes that either they did not commit, or if they have been committed, that the sentences are too long or something like that. I'm going to rewind it because this part is important too. This is if she is up for re-election and campaigning, you can see how she mixed the Fani thing with this thing. So I want you guys to pay attention to that too. I'm going to go back about 30 seconds and let's just see how she blends that into this content.
Longer than 2 years. Fulton County's jail stay average is 291 days. The national average is 30. 37% of inmates are unindicted in the jail. 3 people unindicted have sat in the jail longer than 2 years. This prolonged detention often is overcrowded conditions, reflects a failure of justice and basic human rights. It's imperative that the legal system upholds its duty to prosecute promptly or release detainees. Each person in the jail is someone's child, parent, sibling, or loved one. The Georgia General Assembly set clear guidelines for DA Willis, requiring her to indict individuals in custody within 90 days. Those arrested without bond must have their case presented to the grand jury within the same time frame. There are no exceptions to this law. If individuals have been incarcerated for over 90 days, while the DA takes extended vacations with her special prosecutor, it's a direct insult to Fulton County families and those in jail. Consider this: sleeping on the floor for 2 years without facing a judge is not justice. It's a glaring example of inhumane neglect, which the law is designed to rectify, either prosecute or release. The ACLU reported 503 unindicted inmates that were incarcerated at least 90 days. 447 were sleeping on the floor.
Wow.
DA Willis is required to notify a judge if a person remains in jail on felony charges without indictment for more than 45 days. Sheriff Labatt faces a significant challenge with his colleague neglecting her duties, leaving him to manage an overcrowded jail. If DA Willis addressed the backlog as requested, lives could have been saved.
Man.
Everyone deserves justice. By the end of 2023, 90% of the people in custody were Black. This is not a time to give awards to people for failing to do their job. The Georgia General...
Mesha. What did Mesha just eloquently say there? She has given you all facts on how some inmates have not been indicted. Some of them are staying in jail beyond the point that they should be indicted. I think she quoted something around 200 days, where the national average is 30 days. Lead and I have talked so much about the Fulton County Jail. It's not far from here. It's not far from where I reside. But here's the thing about that jail. It's falling apart. It is literally, and I'm not kidding, crumbling. Inmates are taking pieces of the concrete and the steel used to construct that building, and they're using it as weapons. There is not even funding going into fixing the structure of the building. That jail is so bad. And it wasn't funny, but Lead and I talked about this. There was actually an inmate death. Do you know what that inmate death was caused from? An infestation. And this, I'm sorry, guys, this is gross, because every time I talk about it, it makes my skin crawl. This inmate death was due to an infestation of bed bugs. These jails are not even sanitary. That is currently where everyone from YSL is being housed. They're being housed in that building right now on RICO. Keep RICO in mind when we go to the legal document. Keep it in mind. But what Mesha is saying, and this is the blow, she's just like, now is not the time for people to get awards for failing to do their jobs. It's not. I was here on Saturday and I let the Fani News collect because I was traveling. And I came back and I showed you guys clips of her in Miami getting an award. Mesha said this 2 days ago. She gave this speech 2 days ago. And she's like, it's not even just about me and the stalker issue that I have. What I'm now going to artfully tell you is give you the stats about the people that are sitting in our jails. I'm going to give you the stats about how it's beyond the national average. What are we doing in Atlanta? What are we doing in Fulton County? I'm a lawmaker, and myself, I can't even get my own case prosecuted correctly. That's what this lawmaker is telling you. We're watching it together, guys. We're watching it together. Let's keep going.
Assembly enacted a law mandating bail amounts to reflect a defendant's income. Excessive bonds can be rectified swiftly under these laws. Mismanagement in the DA's office shouldn't jeopardize someone's livelihood. Before I go to the next speaker, I want to say one last thing. DA Willis, backed by Commissioner Arrington, has spent millions prosecuting 2 celebrities. This allocation of funds adversely impacts the residents I represent. Standing up against political figures like Arrington and Willis is daunting. Living in a system that feels broken and corrupt and facing retaliation for protecting my family is disheartening. Yet I am supported by brave individuals that were not scared to stand next to me. There are also many brave individuals that have been contacting me about their stories. To those listening, don't hesitate to share your story. You have a community of supporters that will assist you. If you've been victimized by Commissioner Arrington or DA Willis, contact my office.
Oof.
Remember, victims should never blame themselves for things beyond their control. There's no excuse for anyone to violate, harass, intimidate, or stalk you. Trust your instincts and take steps to protect yourself. I'm going to have LA Pink from the Street Groomers come and speak.
Good evening, everyone. I am LA Pink. I'm the president and first lady of Street Groomers. I stand here today in honor of our state representative, Mesha Mainor. I hate that she has to endure the things that she has had to endure. But we've been talking about this for years, the abandonment that Fani Willis have left in Fulton County.
Wow.
The abandonment that she have left to the families that have lost their loved ones, to the jail, to the streets, and the police brutality, are just the things that are going on in our system. We have Nigel Collins. We have Jamarian Robinson. We have Kane Rogers. We have Jimmy Atchison. These cases are indicted cases that have been left undone.
Wow.
Money that have been gathered from our commissioners to attack these situations that have not been addressed yet. We have a young man that have been in jail for 5 years, waiting for just a trial.
Damn!
Waiting to see a judge.
Oh my God, guys. All right. I mean, I know that there's interesting hair and selection of glasses, geo frames. You know, I probably wouldn't pick those frames myself, but let's step away from what the speaker is actually looking like and listening to what the speaker is saying. Criminal justice system, Fulton County, right? A prosecutor's job, even though, like, you know, they want to put people away, but you also need to hear the cases that are in front of you. There are a lot of Fifth Amendment rights. You know, I talk a lot about constitutional law here, guys. There are a lot of rights that every defendant has. Imagine you get pulled over, I don't know, for speeding or something. Let's say you get arrested. And imagine you're sitting in jail for 5 years just to get a court date to see a judge. That's what she's saying. So I know it isn't, and I just looked at her for a second. I mean, yeah, there's the hair and the glasses. It's hard. It's hard to look at. But the context of what she's saying is very important, right? Nobody, I don't care what crime you've committed, you need your day in court. We all deserve our day in court, right? Imagine if you're sitting in that bed bug infested establishment for 5 years on a minor charge. Is Fani's team doing a good job if that's the case? All right, let's go back to, I mean, again, the hair and the glasses. I can't not say anything, but I'm trying to be nice. Let's keep going.
And have not yet seen a judge. There are so many things that she can be doing instead of chasing Trump and chasing after the YSL case. A case with the YSL that we feel that is more of a love affair and a retaliation of someone that's in the indictment. So today we stand here because enough is enough.
Oof.
My district is somewhat big. I wanted to get some leaders from all sides. I'm going to have Mr. Mike Roberts come up and speak.
Good morning. My name is Mike Russell. I'm a resident here in Atlanta, and I stand this morning humbled and proud to be with Representative Mainor and L.A. Pink. These are two very strong, courageous women that do everything in their power to help those who are less fortunate, those who feel powerless in our county and in our city. L.A. Pink, for those of you who don't know her, she fights every day for the homeless, for the victims of our society. She feeds them out of her own pocket. Representative Mainor has done nothing but reach out and try to help everybody in our community, starting with the youngest amongst us. And I am appalled at what's happening in our community today.
Wow.
And it is time to end the cult of corruption here in Fulton County, starting with DA Fani Willis.
Oh, that's a shirt. The cult of corruption. The cult of corruption has entered the chat. One of our favorite people has entered the chat. the cult of corruption. This is a Fulton County not even a representative. This is a Fulton County citizen saying this. It looks like this stuff has been happening for a really long time, guys. And I do think it kind of sheds some light on what we all found out with everything that was happening with Trump and with YSL under these RICO charges. Remember the word RICO, because it's like Reading Rainbow. Do you guys remember that show from back in the day, Reading Rainbow? And it's like, remember that word, because I'm going to show you the document that Mainor filed in court that has allegations against Fani. But because he actually lives here. He lives here and he's talking about his experience. Doesn't have to talk in front of media. And it's a shame that when I dug this stuff up, not a lot of people are covering it. Shout out to Dear Woke Christian. I saw him in the chat. I know he's going to be covering it a little bit later today. But there's not a lot of people that are on the ground in this area that are sharing their experiences. It's more than the Nathan and Fani thing. People are actually suffering here. And Nathan and Fani were on vacations. Nathan and Fani were focused on this election case. Nathan and Fani were focused on some things where, you know, if your house ain't right, how are you going to go out there and try to fix other people's problems? Fix your own house. Fix Fulton County. Fix what's happening right now. Can I get a like for all of you people that are here? I haven't locked you out of the chat yet. At least hit the like button for me, because I think we're starting to investigate and see some shenanigans. But let's go back to this gentleman, and then we're going to jump into the court doc.
She has done everything for everybody else except for the people of Fulton County. Why is she in New York and DC raising funds to be reelected as the DA in Fulton County? I've had victims come to me. I'm not a public official, but they know that I will stand up for them. I've had victims come to me, a family, a mother and a daughter whose loved one was murdered over a year ago. Their trial of the perpetrator keeps being delayed because Fani Willis says she has more important things to do. What is more important than a murder trial?
Oh man, that just gave me chills. And it's not the first time that we've heard that. Jim Jordan, Fani, we need these documents. No, we're busy. We're doing all this stuff. We're serving the citizens of Fulton County. We're taking care of all of those cases right now. Jim, you're not going to get all of them in one punch. We're going to give it to you on a rolling basis. Nathan Wade, Jocelyn Wade, divorce. Where have we heard this before? Jocelyn's attorneys. Hey, Fani, we need you to come in for a deposition. No! I've got too much going on. I have too much stuff to do. We're prosecuting a president. You're going to take us away from the citizens of Fulton County? Put a 1 in the chat if this sounds familiar. And what did this gentleman just say? A family in this county had a family member that was murdered. And they don't have a court date yet. Because Fani's team is too busy doing other things. This is crazy. I did not even understand how far this goes. But let's go back.
And this guy is out on bail with an ankle bracelet, and he's a previously convicted felon.
Wow.
Just this week, I had a businessman who had $30,000 stolen from him. The perpetrator, a known felon, had a large screen, flat screen television delivered to her residence. Atlanta Police Department did the investigation, handed the evidence to Fani Willis' office. Without contacting the victim, she dismissed the case.
Wow.
And then you have the overcrowding in the jail because she fails to prosecute when we have people there up to 5 years who have not seen a judge in a jail that's being mismanaged by Sheriff Labatt. The culture of corruption needs to end. And they're all together. Sheriff Labatt, Fani Willis, Marvin Arrington, Natalie Hall. You see one, you see them all. And every one of them have violated the trust of the public. Natalie Hall cost us $1 million stalking a victim. She was not charged by Fani Willis, her friend. Let me say that again for those of you who don't know. Commissioner Hall cost the taxpayers of Fulton County $1 million because she stalked her victim that worked for her, planted tracking devices in his vehicle. She was not prosecuted by our DA, Fani Willis. Why? This corruption in Fulton County needs to end, and our lawmakers need to take them and hold them to account. And I'm hoping that the voters of Fulton County are paying attention and will vote for a clean slate of candidates and stop this cult of corruption in our county.
Cult of corruption. Cult of corruption.
I have two more individuals that have been personally impacted.
Oh, let's go. Let's listen to this.
My name is Joel Watley. My last name is Whatley. I'm the father of Casey Watley, who's been incarcerated in Fulton County Jail for 5 years now.
Oh my God.
And as we're starting to see, there's a pattern of corruption within the district attorney's office. My son, like I say, has been incarcerated 5 years. Case after there was no evidence, they came back and said they found evidence and they had found fingerprints. Well, it came to find out in court that that was a lie. They said a second testing had been done and my son's fingerprints were found on the scene, and that was a lie. The attorney, Darrell Korn, tried to get my son to take a 20-year plea deal by falsifying evidence.
Oh my God.
And as you can see, corruption is just running rampant within Fulton County Jail. It's time for something to be done, man. We got to do something. Y'all allowing these kids to be locked up, knowing that lady is corrupt. She spent the money that was meant to help the kids, and then she RICO'd them. She RICO'd all the young people. After she spent the money that was meant to help them.
Oh my God.
To create a safe environment for them not to have to be out here in these gangs. Now let's ask her what she did with that money. It's time to do something to clean up Fulton County. We're not talking about tomorrow. We need to start today. You got over 800 people in that jail who shouldn't be there, haven't been indicted. They won't take them to trial. How is that justice? And you know what the crazy thing is? Fulton County sit back and watch it.
Oh man, I need to connect. I have to collect myself, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. Even as a legal scholar, like this makes me actually want to cry. That is terrible. His son is sitting there for 5 years. Can't get a court date. Evidence magically appears that say that they have his fingerprints on something. This could be your brother, your uncle, your grandfather, anyone in your family. Take race out of it. This could be any of our family members. Can't get a court date. And they're trying to coerce them into plea deals. Imagine, most of us are very fortunate. Sometimes if you're in unfortunate situations, and this happens a lot in the criminal justice system, people will take plea deals because they know they can't afford a lawyer, or they get a court-appointed attorney who's either like me, fresh out of law school, not that experienced, and is juggling all these other cases. 800 of those people are in a disintegrating building where parts of the building are being used as weapons, where you can legit lose your life to bed bugs. You don't think those people want to get out? Man, that just hurt my heart. That one really hurt my heart. But it looks like we have one speaker left, and then we can jump into this court document. But this is it's really sad, guys. It really is. All right. It looks like we have just about a minute left, but let's keep going.
Good morning. My name is J. Wesley Day. That's J-E apostrophe space Wesley, W-E-S-L-E-Y, Day, D-A-Y, David Apple Yellow. I want to first give an honor to God who's head of my life, and I want to thank you, Representative Mainor, for giving me the courage to tell my story. In 2018, I was beaten in a hate crime. They called me homophobic slurs, fags, sissies, and I videotaped my assailants. You would think that it would be an open, shut case, but instead, the criminal justice system here in Fulton County vilified me. They first charged me with the fray. Then they upgraded that to a felony. As a result, I lost my job with Delta Airlines because I reported to Delta that I had a pending misdemeanor. Delta was the one who came and told me that I had a pending felony. As a result, fast forward nearly 6 years later, none of my...
Oh, it cut off. I'm sorry, guys. It cut off. I apologize for that. It looks like he was going to speak for a little bit longer, but you get the gist of this. You get the gist. The gist of this is that there is some corruption happening. I do think that Representative Mainor is shedding some light on what's happening. She is shedding some light on what's happening in the jails, but a prosecutor's job is to prosecute crimes. And if these people are not being processed, they're not being processed for their individual cases because the resources are being dedicated to 2 other cases. This YSL trial with Young Thug has so many witnesses. Like, I think it's over 100 witnesses. The case is going to cost the county so much money because it's going to take 2 or 3 years. If you're on that jury, you cannot go back to your regular job for like a year or 2. The taxpayers are paying for that. So when we talk about RICO, I keep saying with the Reading Rainbow thing, remember RICO, because that is one of the laws that Fani Willis is utilizing to prosecute crimes. She did it in the past with a teachers union, or I think it was like a school or something like that. She was one of the first people to start broadly utilizing this particular racketeering, law for groups of people to prosecute them. But what happens when you put all your resources into trying a group of people? The other people that have individual cases, they start to suffer. That's what we're seeing here. We see that with the election interference case. And luckily, we were able, the public was able to sniff out, hey, what's going on with you and Nathan Wade? Like, what is this? What is this? Same thing. RICO charges, group of 20 people. When you do that, you take resources away from all the other people that need to be fairly and justly processed. So when we think about the aspect of justice here, guys, this is a big problem. It's huge. I'm going to take a quick super chat break. I'm watching this raw with you guys. I'm watching it raw with you, but I have the court document here. I have Mainor's complaint. We're going to look at it together and we're going to see exactly what she's claiming that Fani's team did. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the stalking case that she has. So let's go to supers real quick for a break. And of course, if you're watching this on replay, you guys know me, I will timestamp it out. So if you want to skip this part, you will be able to do that in the future. Shout out to Audrey, first super of the day. She says she sends $9.99. Thank you so much, Audrey. Huge supporter in my community and lead attorneys community. It's always good to see you. Love that flower. Hope you are doing well. Good to see you. Shout out to Drew Beats with the 199. He says, Kendrick or Drake, AV. Listen, I saw Angry Man covering this. I see this all over the interwebs, like people that are in the hip hop community are covering it. I honestly don't know what it's about, Drew Beats. I like Kendrick's music, so I don't know if that helps, but it's hard for me to make a definitive decision if I don't know what's going on. So Drew, thank you so much for the super, appreciate you. Shout out to Debbie, who has became a YouTube member. Listen, membership has its privileges. Before this stream started, I did ask my community what you guys want to see. And overwhelmingly, you guys are like, stay on Fani, please. You're like, don't go anywhere. We want to learn as much as possible on this case. I think it was something like 56% of you guys wanted to learn more about this case. I was going to go to Karen Reed because I'm from Massachusetts. I lived in Canton. I know Boston cops, Boston lawyers. I can bring them on. But it seems you guys want me to stay on Fani, so that's what we're going to do. So Debbie, thank you so much for becoming a member. There will be some privileges. There's a ton going on right now. We actually just had a meeting this morning about what we're going to do for our members. Things like merch, things like members only live streams, things like either stream after parties or before parties, things like that, where you guys get your special privileges. And here's the thing, Debbie. Debbie is so excited to be a member. She even gifted a membership to one of you. If you received it from Debbie, please say thank you. She didn't have to do that. And that was really, really kind because she's saying, hey, I love this content so much. I want to gift it to someone else. So that was really, really sweet of her. Thank you so much, Debbie. Shout out to Dianara, who says Fani pulling a Basic Instinct in Miami, as well as these shenanigans. What a disgrace. I mean, this week has been so crazy, guys, because we anticipated it. And shout out to like Professor Nez and a few other people in this space that have been talking about this particular case, but just looking at why certain things are done in the way that they're done. Aside from me having a legal background, I also have a PR background. And it is just funny to me that when Fani wants to make a decision to speak about a topic, she will do it. The Judge McAfee in this case, in the brief, when he said, hey, you know, Nathan's got to come off of this case. You could stay on, your office could stay on, but one of you guys has to go. Of course, she's going to choose to stay on, right? He said in that document that he recommends that she does not make any public statements about this case. What did Fani do for the last 3 to 4 weeks? She made public statements about this case. The Easter egg hunt event that she went to. She spoke to CNN, right? She says it in legal documents. She said it in her letter to Jim Jordan. I'm prosecuting the president right now. I don't have time for you. Not in those words, but that's what she's saying. The crazy thing about this particular week in itself, we knew that the debate that she needed to be at was this past Monday against the other people that are running against her for the DA position. Do you know there was a man that was running against her, and because Fani wasn't there, he literally had to speak to an empty podium. Empty. Fani should have been there. She has public statements for everything else, but could not talk to the voters of Fulton County. Because I think what's happening is her voters that already voted for her, I believe that her team feels like they are going to be loyal and vote for her again. That's why she's not entertaining the challengers. It's crazy, man. It is just, it's insane, guys. So she's in Miami, getting an award, talking about all types of other things. I think it was it was like a conference for Black county officials, and it was hosted in Miami. So, you know, maybe she got the tickets months in advance and maybe had a scheduling conflict. You see how I'm being nice and I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's what it was. Had comments to make there. Like there was even a person that followed her after she got off stage, was asking questions about this and had nothing to say there, right? But in these legal documents, we see the defiance. We see it. It's just the lashing out. We see it all. We see it all. And then for something like this to come out in addition, it's just like, wow. And when I show you the document, guys, we're going to look at the date because that's important too. So thank you so much, Dianora. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Shout out to Greatness81, who says Fani, her office, and judges protected the stalker because they're friends with the stalker. Oh, the plot thickens. The whistleblower on Fani complained of being stalked too. Yeah, we've talked about the whistleblower, and that's what Jim Jordan and team are trying to get to the bottom of. They've talked to the whistleblower in that particular case. They have information from the whistleblower. I think Jim Jordan actually said, like, God bless the whistleblower. Yeah, these things happen, especially for the whistleblower. This is now become a national thing. You know, the whistleblower is speaking out against a prominent public figure in her area. And was trying to do the right thing, you know? So thank you, Greatness, for that one. Shout out to Question Everything, who says, what's up with Gorilla Grip? Gorilla Grip, does she ever work? I mean, who knows? Who knows, Question Everything? I mean, we have to question everything. We have to question it. Greatness 81 is back. He says this with 1999. Thank you so much, brother. He said the sad part is Fani will get reelected with all the fuckery coming out about her and her office. Fani is confident that the people of Fulton County will ignore the stalking case, her affair with Wade, and not debating. That's exactly what I just said. And you just said it in a super chat before I read it. Like, thank you so much, Greatness 81. And yeah, that's what she's betting on. She's betting on the loyalty of voters, the loyalty of voters to ignore the stalking thing, the affair with Wade, and not debating. The stalking case we're about to get into, the affair with Wade, Ashley Merchant said it. She got up in front of that Georgia Senate hearing, and she mentioned how the church speech was a lie. You know, Fani lied in a church. And a lot of those people either could have been on the jury or are extremely loyal to her. But, you know, we did not hear like, hey, you know, Nathan Wade is still married. His wife has, like, you know, she's sick. Lee and I, that's one of our last streams we did together. We had Joycelyn Wade's attorney come up. I'll link that if you haven't seen it. We had Joycelyn Wade's attorney come up and say how Joycelyn Wade needs specific medical treatments that are so important to her health right now. She's barely making ends meet. And Nathan's not paying for it. He's saying it's too much money. But, you know, one of the tickets he just spent when he and Fani went on a trip in December was worth the amount that Joycelyn needs for medical care. If people want to ignore that, that's crazy to me. Shout out to the Tip Network. Great content creators, guys, and really great friends of mine. Check out the Tip Network. If any of the mods are in the chat, if you could drop a link to their channel, that would be fantastic. They say greetings to my mastermind sister. Keep killing it. The Tip Network, men-centric channel. They talk about all types of popular topics over there. Really skilled at what they do. They have a great editing team. They're crushing it always. Check them out if you haven't already. And huge shout out to the Tip Network. Thank you guys so much. What are they talking about when they say mastermind? Lead attorney has a mastermind hosted on his school where a bunch of content creators come together and we commune once a week and we just talk about YouTube. It's amazing. It is amazing. Join it if you're a creator and you're interested. Thank you again, Tip Network. Guy Incognito says more important than NFL players dating white girls. I mean, I don't know if you're being a funny guy, but this case is important. Like I'm not going to be a resident of Fulton County much longer, to be honest. I'm moving back to the north to finish my legal stuff. But just being just a resident here for a year, this is sickening to me. It really is. I'm coming from another place and I'm seeing this and I'm like, wow, overcrowded jails. You know, the focus on cases, on celebrity cases, you know, like Mainor said, the focus on that instead of actually giving people the justice and the job that you were elected to do. Your job is to process the cases of the people that have been sitting in jail for 5 years. Do you guys remember one of those documents that kept saying that Fani Willis was an elected official? They kept using the word elected. You're elected to get some of these people out of that jailhouse. And that means whether it's probation, whether it is plea deals, whether it's some of these things, some of these kids have been sitting in there forever. And that's not to negate if they've committed crimes or not. If they've committed the crimes, they've committed the crimes. But process them. That's what we're talking about. So thanks, Guy. Shout out to E. Capone, who says, I'm at work. Most of you guys are at work. This is why it's hard to stream during the day. But at the same time, I almost have to do it when news comes out. I was going to stream twice today and go live later on Karen Reed, but like do it later in the day since a lot of you guys are at work. But some of you guys listen to this stuff when you're like, if you work overnight. So we're trying to find the right time. I might actually poll you while we're here just to see what works best. But thank you so much, E. Capone. And then shout out to Sorry Boots. Atlanta is such a shit show. Can you cover that every day and not run out of I mean, you can cover it every day and not run out of stories for months or years. It is pretty bad. And you know what sucks is like the weather's great. I'm a snowbird. The weather's awesome here. I love the weather. It's like 80 degrees right now. It's amazing. But I wouldn't want to get pulled over here, I'll tell you that. Maybe I won't be treated right. And then lastly, I'm going to go to Cash App. So thank you again for that one. Let me just make sure. Sorry, Boots. Thank you so much. And then lastly, I want to go to Alton, who sends a $3 Cash App. He says, congratulations, you have 1K watching live. Oh my God, I do. Thank you guys. I haven't locked you out yet, but thank you for being here and trusting me with this information. We're going to jump into the legal doc, but do me a favor. If you haven't done it already, hit the like button for me. There's 1,000 of you guys in here. How many likes do I have? Should I pull a lead and lock people out? Should I do it? Do y'all have my likes looking right? Should I do it? Okay, 725 likes. All right. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Won't lock you out. But thank you guys so much for the love. We're going to keep going. Let's jump into this legal document because it is juicy. All right. Let's go. Like we're not even going to wait. We're just going to pop in because this is really, really juicy. Okay. What are we looking at? And let me make sure I can zoom in so all of you guys can see it. Okay, we are looking at plaintiff Mesha Mainor. She is suing Fulton County, the Fulton County Ethics Board, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, Marvin Arrington, individually, so civilly, and she's also suing him in his official capacity as a Fulton County Commissioner for District 5. Fani Willis is named in this individually and in her capacity as a district attorney. She wants a jury trial. This complaint, guys, was filed, so it has been out for a little while. It was filed on April 2nd of 2024. Okay, so shout out to Flux. Yes, guys, I'm almost at 25,000 subs. So if you're watching me and you haven't subbed yet, you're gonna get us close. You're gonna get us close. So a like and a sub would be amazing. We're almost at 25K. Okay. Now, let's get into this debauchery because I couldn't believe it when I read it. Some of you guys are a little skeptical, like, does she really have a stalker, AV? Let's get into this. Okay. Mesha, a public official, a Georgia state representative, is a plaintiff. And through, she is coming through with state law, certain rights secured to her by the Constitution, and asserts the following: jurisdiction and venue are proper. That just means that you're entering the lawsuit in the right place. She's a resident of Georgia. The jurisdiction is right. The defendant, they can be bound by this because Fulton County is a county in Georgia, in the state of Georgia. They're responsible for the funding and operation of the Fulton County Ethics Board. They are responsible for the oversight and management of the Fulton County Commissioner, Marvin Arrington. Fulton County may be served with process, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. The Ethics Board is a proper defendant. The District Attorney's Office is a proper defendant. The Fulton County Commissioner, Marvin Arrington, is a proper defendant. District Attorney Fani Willis is a proper defendant. And on November 3rd, 2021, plaintiff gave a notice to Fulton County Ethics Board. On January 2nd of 2022, she gave a notice to Fani Willis directly and her office, and she has complied with all conditions precedent to bringing this action. So what does this mean? That means that Mesha has followed all of the rules that she needs to follow. She's filed everything that she's needed to file in order for this lawsuit to be just and proper. Defendants have waived any defense of sovereign immunity by the purchase of liability insurance and otherwise. That's important because I think I saw a few people asking questions earlier, and I will try to get to those if I see it. The thing is, right, you can say, hey, how can you sue a county, or how do you sue a public official? You can sue it. And you know, when you have sovereign immunity, you think of that. You think of sovereign immunity being one of those legal theories where you can't sue me because I'm a county, you know, I'm the county, or, you know, I'm a public official serving that county. What she's saying here is that it's waived because they have purchased liability insurance. Let's go to the facts, because this is where we get into the stalker stuff. Okay, here's a statement of facts. A, underlying criminal case in which plaintiff Mainor is the victim. So this is the background on the stalker case. So Mainor is a state representative for the Georgia House of Representatives. In 2019, Mainor ran for the campaign of the elected seat she now holds. In January 2019, Mainor hired Mr. Corwin Monson as a campaign volunteer. This is the stalker, guys. Monson, all right? So he was hired as a volunteer. Prior to working with Mainor's campaign together, Mainor and Monson were associates for several years and had many friends in common. So they know each other. So he was hired as a volunteer, but they have history. They've known each other for several years and they have many friends in common. Monson assured Mainor that he can help get her elected to her desired position. However, in 2019, Mainor was forced to fire him from his volunteer position after witnesses his unruly, belligerent behavior. This is going to sound familiar to a few of you guys that were here on Saturday, where we read the article on this particular case. Monson began to stalk Mainor after she fired him, right? Specifically, Monson would show up uninvited to campaign events. He joined Mainor's church and would even sit outside of her home. And I remember talking about this with you guys, right? Because we were like, oh, is he really a stalker if he went to the campaign events, if he was hired? Is he a stalker if he went to the same church? But you see how when you start to sit outside of somebody's house, it's a little creepy, creepazoidy. It's a little creepazoidy. Come on, right? Let's keep going. Monson called plaintiff Mainor from several phone numbers and left her several voice messages. He then later turned these voice messages into a song. This is where this is where he lost me. Like, if you're calling me from different phone numbers and then you're leaving voicemails and that compilation is a song of your own voicemails, what is that? Shout out to Chris Kringle, who's entered the chat. He says that's creepy. I mean, you turn it into songs? Monson admitted that he was in love with the plaintiff, and he even showed up at her home once and proposed to her in front of her minor children. Okay. Although Mainor and Monson had known each other for years, they never had a romantic relationship. Okay, so I think that's why the lawyers here are painting that. They're like, let's make that clear. They've never had a relationship. He's doing this off of his own volition. We're going to go from there. Mr. Monson was cited for criminal trespass after coming to Mainor's home and refusing to leave her property. Okay. Then Mainor filed a temporary protective order against Monson. A judge granted it against Monson. So they now have a temporary restraining order. Probably not for a long time, but you see that here, right? Sorry, guys. Scribd is like the weirdest website ever. In 2019 to September 2020, Mr. Monson was arrested for violating the restraining order. Okay, so that happened. Then in September of 2020, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, the DA's office, indicted Mr. Monson for aggravated stalking for violating the TPO. In January of 2021, the DA's office indicted indicted Mr. Monson for a second aggravated assault charge, of which Mainor was the victim. For these two cases, Monson was facing up to 20 years in prison. Okay, so we know so far that he got convicted of aggravated stalking twice. So that is a thing. He's violated the protective order. This has happened twice. Upon information and belief, Monson is a close friend and associate of Defendant Commissioner Arrington. So he has friends in high places. He knows Commissioner Arrington. They were cool. They were close, right? In October of 2020, Monson hired Commissioner Arrington as his defense attorney in the September 2020 aggravated stalking case, right? So that's the first thing. Now let's talk about Arrington himself and how he's involved with this. ADA, an assistant district attorney on Monson's case, informed Mainor of the influence of Commissioner Arrington and how he wielded power in the DA's office. And remember, guys, this is prior regime, prior to Fani. That's where we are right now. Arrington used his influence to circumvent the office policies of the district attorney's office, including intimidating the ADAs by copying the district attorney on emails. This was Paul Howard at the time. He would negotiate plea deals directly with the district attorney instead of the ADAs, and would demand meetings with the district attorney when ADAs refused to bend to his will. You know, Lead and I talk about that a lot, guys. Like sometimes we talk about the difference between a district attorney and an assistant district attorney. An ADA reports up to the district attorney. They're the ones that actually will be in court every day. So, you know, when we saw the whole Fani Willis debacle happen after the fact, after she started listening, she would then have other people show up and argue on the state's behalf. We started seeing that towards the end. You know, like there were other people, other actors. We called one of them the Post-it Kids. The Post-it Kid would come up. Then there was another young gentleman that would argue for the state's behalf as well. That's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to have ADAs, right? We see this in the Young Thug case. Fani's not arguing in the Young Thug case. An assistant district attorney from her office is arguing in the Young Thug case. And that's been a revolving door. When I started covering it last year in 2023, there was one young woman that was this blonde woman. Now you have 88 Love, right? That's her last name, Love. It reminds me of Diddy, Brother Love. But you have these underlings that are supposed to be doing the day-to-day work. What Arrington is doing here and what this state representative is alleging is that in order to intimidate those younger people, those underlings, to intimidate them to do what he wants, on emails, he would CC their boss. He would threaten to do things with their boss. He's trying to go above the food chain, you know, or go to the top of the food chain, right? And, you know, I see what he's doing. Does it make it right? No, but that's what they're alleging in this lawsuit. Fulton County residents hired Commissioner Arrington as a defense attorney because of the power he was able to yield in the district attorney's office. That doesn't make sense. Fulton County residents hire Arrington as a defense attorney because of the power he is able to yield in the district attorney's office. That seems odd. I think that's a typo. As a Fulton County Commissioner, Defendant Commissioner Arrington is responsible for managing, settling, and releasing the budget for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Oh, so he's like the accountant. How did he be? He's an accountant and a lawyer? Weird. For example, on July 14th, 2021, DA Willis went in before the Board of Commissioners, including Arrington, to request more money from the Fulton County from Fulton County to hire more staff. During this meeting, Arrington passionately advocated for the money to be released to the DA's office. At one point during the meeting, Arrington states, F the lowest mileage rate. I don't give a darn about the lowest millage rate. Where's the money that the DA's office needs? Oh my God. Sorry, let me read that again. I might have to swear. He said, fuck the lowest millage rate. I don't give a darn about the lowest millage rate. Where's the money that the DA's office needs? This is debauchery, Tim. Oh my God. This is crazy, guys. Hey, Boss Hog. Oh my gosh. He said, F the lowest millage rate. I don't give a darn about the lowest millage rate. Where's the money that the DA's office needs? Okay, so this guy is definitely throwing his power around. As a Fulton County Commissioner, Defendant Commissioner Arrington is also responsible for managing, settling, and releasing the budget for Fulton County judges. Ooh, the plot thickens. Although Commissioner Arrington has these duties, he also serves as a defense attorney for criminal defendants within Fulton County. All right, now this makes sense. When Defendant Commissioner Arrington serves as a defense attorney in Fulton County, he is paid by the criminal defendants for their defense. So it's private practice. It's on the side. From November 20th through October of 2021, Defendant Commissioner Arrington unduly influenced the criminal proceedings for both the aggravated stalking cases on behalf of Mr. Monson in the following ways. Okay, so now this is what he did to influence this case. First, Arrington used his influence to broker a deal with then Fulton County DA Paul Howard. He did the following. The plea deal the defendant commissioner negotiated with Howard was not presented to the commissioner's opposing counsel. Wow. The ADA on the case. Wow, that's not good. So he brokered a plea deal without bringing in the other side's lawyer, which is a no-no. Both parties need to be there. In pertinent part, the alleged plea deal would have allowed Mr. Monson to plead guilty to a misdemeanor, although he was charged with a violent felony. The referenced plea deal contravened the DA's office policies. Specifically, the DA's office policy was to only offer misdemeanor pleas in place of felonies only as in extraordinary circumstances. So you don't go from a felony to a misdemeanor unless it's very rare where that happens. That's what they're saying here. But Paul Howard and this Arrington guy, they were able to get that plea deal dropped down to a misdemeanor. Okay. And here's the thing. Drop down to a misdemeanor for stalking a Georgia state representative. That became a misdemeanor. This place is crazy. The DA's office policy was to punish repeat violent criminal offenders to the full extent of the law. Remember, this guy had been charged twice with aggravated stalking. Furthermore, one of the district attorney's office policy goals was to lower the occurrence of the domestic violence against women in Fulton County, Georgia. DV against women includes the offense of aggravated stalking. Mr. Monson, oh, this is why she went to the Department of Justice. This is why the state representative went to the Department of Justice on Fani. Mr. Monson has a prior criminal history, including a prior aggravated assault charge, which was subsequently reduced to a misdemeanor, and a negotiate a negotiated plea. So this is not the first time that the stalker dude has gotten in trouble. He has a prior, he has like a record. He's done this before. It was aggravated assault, but he had a record. So someone with a record was able to go from a felony to a misdemeanor against a Georgia state representative because he knew this guy, because he knew Arrington. Second, Commissioner Arrington is heard on jail calls with Mr. Monson conspiring to cause the sitting judge on the criminal case, Kelly Allerby, to be removed. I have that audio. It's going to come out tonight. My editor is working on it, but you guys can listen to that in the next video. So not only was he able to influence plea deals, he is now influencing a judge to be removed off of the case. Arrington encouraged Monson to file a fraudulent complaint against the judge. According to Arrington, the judge needed to be removed from Monson's case because it was likely she would reject the misdemeanor plea he had negotiated with Paul Howard. Commissioner Arrington states, "The problem is the effing judge," in reference to Judge Allerby. Judge Allerby was the only problem because Commissioner Arrington admits he can get the DA to agree to a misdemeanor plea. Oh my God. After filing a fraudulent complaint against the judge, Mr. Monson temporarily had criminal proceedings held before different judges, including Judge Adams. Upon information and belief, Defendant Commissioner Arrington has a personal relationship with Judge Adams. Okay, so he tried to switch judges because he has a personal relationship with that other judge. This is so bad, guys. Upon information and belief, Arrington used his influence to have ex parte meetings with Judge Adams prior to the ADAs on Monson's case. Mainor and Judge Adams' engagement with Monson and Arrington during a hearing was unlike typical demeanor, as she was deferential to them and allowed outbursts from both of them. So the judge in that case, because he was in cahoots with Arrington, was allowing Arrington to like have outbursts, probably object unnecessarily, things like that. Whereas Mainor's team is just like, hey, you know, we need to defend this thing. Third, on the jail calls between Arrington and Monson, Commissioner Arrington agrees to use this influence to get Monson a favorable outcome. All right. He says that he will use his father's influence to sway the proceedings. So Arrington's dad was a former Fulton County Superior Court judge. You can't make this up. So Arrington is running around, throwing his power around. You could see that he seems very bold in the way that he does this. Now we're learning that Arrington's dad was a former Superior Court judge. So that's why he's playing musical chairs with these judges, because he knows how to do it and he knows that he can. What is up with Fulton County? I don't understand. Arrington also insinuates that his position as commissioner will result in a favorable result for Mr. Monson. Fourth, during the jail phone calls, Arrington admits to telling Fani Willis, who was the district attorney-elect at the time, about the case with Mr. Monson in advance of her being sworn in. So now we see Fani. Fani knew about this case before she got sworn in and took the job. The commissioner states that he wants Miss Willis to know that that itch is crazy, which is a reference to Plaintiff Mainor. Oh. Therefore, Arrington used his influence to bias Fani against Mesha. So Arrington tells Fani that Mesha is crazy. So Fani knew about this case, and it is said that Arrington used this influence as bias. Okay. Arrington, on another one of those phone calls, encouraged Monson's wife, Alicia, to harass Mainor. Mainor then sought a protective order against Miss Monson. During the phone calls that were publicly released, Defendant Commissioner Arrington resigned as his lawyer. So he was really only this guy's lawyer for 3 months. And all of this took place. He's representing the stalker and was only the stalker's attorney for 3 months. All right. Now, Fani Willis was sworn in and became the district attorney. As a top prosecuting official in Fulton County, Willis became responsible for the adjudication of Monson's criminal cases. So now the stalker's cases are under Fani when she gets sworn in. Now, what's the title of this stream? Fani drops the ball. It's right here in the court document. Here's how Fani dropped the ball. She negotiated a plea for this stalker who had a very special attorney for 3 months, who was taking judges off and all types of shenanigans. Let's see what happens now. So, although Arrington stepped down as Monson's criminal attorney, he continued to wield influence over the case. Namely, he maintained that Paul Howard offered Monson a plea deal consisting of the alleged felony being reduced to a misdemeanor. Monson's succeeding counsel repeatedly referred to this deal in subsequent court proceedings against the state. Okay. Monson's subsequent counsel argued that the DA's office should stand behind this alleged plea deal after Fani Willis assumed her position as the Fulton County District Attorney. So here's what's happening. The guy's no longer his lawyer. Fani gets sworn in. She has this case. And instead of Fani negotiating a new plea deal, the guy goes to Fani and says, listen, your predecessor, Paul Howard, he agreed to drop that to a misdemeanor instead of a felony. You need to do the same thing, Fani. Although Monson ultimately was not offered the misdemeanor plea deal, Fani did dismiss one of his aggravated stalking cases. Oh, okay. This is not a good message, even as a DA. This is a Georgia state representative. The guy had 2 charges of aggravated stalking against him. Fani dropped one. And here's the problem with that. If you could do this to male or female, any Georgia state representative, you're basically sending a message that anyone in the House of Representatives in the state of Georgia can be stalked, and you would drop one of their charges. I can't believe she dropped one of the charges. Wow. On the remaining stalking case, DA Willis offered Monson a plea of 3 years, 1 to serve in prison, the balance on probation, with credit for the time he had already served. Plaintiff Mainor was not informed of the plea deal extended to Monson prior to him accepting, which is a violation of the Georgia victim. Damn, they're breaking laws. This is a violation of the Georgia Crime Victims Bill of Rights. So apparently in the state of Georgia, if a plea deal is offered to someone, you're supposed to let the plaintiff know. So Representative Mainor was not made aware that the person that has been stalking her is about to be set free. That was Fani's team's responsibility. They did not do it. Oh, man. This law, it's called the Marsy's Law. It provides individuals who are victims of certain crimes specific rights, especially if you have a stalker. You want to know if your stalker is going to be let out because they can stalk you again. He's been charged with it twice. Anywho, Mainor did not approve of the negotiated plea deal extended to Monson. Marsy's Law applies to victims of aggravated stalking. In September of 2021, Monson pled no contest to stalking. He received credit for the time he already served. Monson's plea deal was not appropriate according to Fani's inter-office policies or her stated priority of protecting women. Fani, by her own words, created the first domestic violence unit in Fulton County. Additionally, the negotiated plea Fani offered Monson did not align with the office's sentencing guidelines. So she's bending some rules here. Upon information and belief, it is not the district attorney's office policy to offer a 1-year jail sentence to a criminal defendant being charged with a violent crime when that defendant has a violent history. Furthermore, Monson's shortened probation sentence was not consistent with the office's policy of recommending longer probation sentences to men convicted of DV in an effort to protect women longer. Fani and her office failed to properly investigate the stalking charges against Monson. Specifically, they failed to interview a single person who had witnessed the behavior towards Plaintiff Mainor. They didn't interview anyone. Wow. Representative from Fani's office made fraudulent representations in court in favor of Monson. Plaintiff Mainor's disparate treatment as a victim. I'm probably going to skip some of this, but it says, due to Arrington's interference with the criminal case, Mainor has experienced disparate treatment under law as a victim. Furthermore, because of Fani's bias towards Arrington, Mainor has experienced disparate treatment under the law as a victim. Mainor has been forced to advocate for herself and her safety, though it is that's the DA's role. Specifically, Mainor took the following actions. So she was forced to notify the United States Department of Justice on violence against women due to Fani's office's failure to properly prosecute Monson's case at its inception. So she went to the DOJ. This is getting deep. Mainor called Monson's bail company to inform them that he had violated his bond conditions by being rearrested. Judge Allerby later revoked the defendant's bond. Mainor filed a bar complaint with the State Bar of Georgia, alleging that Arrington uses his elected position to sway deals in criminal cases. Mainor filed an ethics complaint against Arrington as well. She stated that he broke several ethical rules during the case. Mainor had to attend more than 10 hearings regarding the criminal case against Monson and Arrington's several attempts to influence the criminal justice system. Mainor had 6 different ADAs on her case. 6. The last ADA who took Monson's plea was Yolanda Mack. According to the Fulton County Deputy District Attorney, Jill Hollander, the bouncing around of Plaintiff Mainor's case was unusual. This is a state representative. Oh, man. Fani favored the defendant, Commissioner Arrington, and Monson in the criminal proceedings, although Mainor was the victim. Mainor has suffered severe financial and emotional damages. She suffered emotional damages due to Fani's inability to properly prosecute Monson. Arrington was operating under the color of the law when he caused these injuries. Fani was operating under the color of law as well when she caused these injuries. Arrington was deliberately indifferent to her rights. Fani was deliberately indifferent as well. All right, so it looks like there's an ethics board complaint, but this is the commissioner, Arrington, instead of Fani herself. I'm going to skip over this and go to Monson being released from jail. So November 2021, he got let out. Monson immediately began stalking her again, guys. Oh my God. So now he's stalking her all over again. After that plea deal, after 2 charges, after a temporary restraining order, all of those things, he started stalking this state representative again. Can you guys type again in the chat? Like, again. What do they say? So as a condition of his probation, he was ordered to have no contact with Mesha Mainor. After being released from jail, he began showing up to events hosted by Mainor's friends and neighbors. Monson began, Mainor ran into him as she was exiting a gas station on November 18th of 2021. The gas station was a few feet from her home. Mainor informed the district attorney's office of this incident. Neither ADA Mack nor DA Willis did anything about this. In December, Monson attempted to enter the legislative office building where Mainor works. So he went to her job like a month later. Capitol Police stopped him from entering the building due to him being on the do not enter list. Oh my God. If the Capitol Police have you on a do not enter list, I mean, I don't know, guys. I really do think maybe this lady is being honest about having a stalker. If the Capitol Police have you on that list, come on. Monson informed the Capitol Police and the state ethics office that someone instructed him to come in person to the building to testify. Chief counsel for the campaign ethics office stated that Monson was not contacted or instructed to testify. So he went to the building. They're like, what are you doing here? You're not on the list. Why are you here? And he's like, oh, no, I'm here because I was contacted to testify. And they, like the lawyer, the chief counsel for the state campaign ethics office is like, dude, no one called you. You're not supposed to be here. Oh my God. Investigator Brian Hill of the Atlanta Police Department began an investigation into whether Monson violated the temporary restraining order that Mainor had against him by entering the building where she works. As part of this investigation, Hill watched body cam footage from the Capitol Police and interviewed the witnesses. Hill concluded that Monson had in fact violated the restraining order by going to that legislative office. So the guy violated another restraining order. Fani and team did nothing. Investigator Hill concluded that Monson in fact violated it. He was prepared to pursue charges against Monson due to this incident. However, Fani's office refused to prosecute this violation, making a warrant futile. Fani's team said, no, they're not going to prosecute another. Specifically, ADA Max states it doesn't appear that Monson's intentions were to violate the order, but simply give testimony on his ethics complaint against you. He didn't have any contact with you directly or indirectly. That's what Fani's team says. Again, ADA Mac and Fani's team refused to take action against Monson. All right, what is she suing for? So those are the facts. That's everything that happened. What is she suing for? First, she's suing for IIED. This is what we call it in law. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. They give you what the law is here in Georgia. They give you all the things that he did to qualify for that and why she should be charged with it. I want to go to, like we know that this guy is a little crazy, right? But what I want to do is go down to what Fani's team did. And it starts to show you here, right? Fani intentionally used her political power to dismiss a legitimate legal claim against Monson. Fani intentionally offered Monson a plea deal that contravened the plaintiff's interest, Mesha's interest. Fani intentionally showed deference to Arrington and his associate Monson to the detriment of Mesha. Fani intentionally instructed her ADAs to compromise and advocate on behalf of Monson. Fani intentionally failed to prosecute the probation violations against Monson. Fani intentionally turned a blind eye to the biased relationships between Arrington and judges. Fani intentionally failed to recuse herself from Monson's case despite Arrington's informing her about the case and Mesha prior to her taking office. Fani's behavior caused Mesha severe emotional distress, right? I'm going to skip all that because it's talking about like trauma and things like that, things that have happened since it happened. Fani's behavior was reckless due to the nature of the charges against Monson and his prior criminal history. Fani's actions caused Mesha to experience intense feelings of intimidation, humiliation, embarrassment, concern, fright, physical health, safety, extreme outrage. And this caused Mesha to experience and continue to experience emotional distress. All right, I'm going to keep Yeah, now they're talking about the DA's office. All of that falls under Fani. It's more of the same. Now, I talked to you guys. Remember the Reading Rainbow thing? We talked about RICO. I went to law school in Massachusetts. I am here in Georgia. RICO is a very popular thing here in Georgia. Do you know what Mesha did? Her third claim of relief? Mesha's using RICO against Fani. Mesha's using Fani's favorite thing against her. Look at Mesha. She is using the Racketeer Influence in Corrupt Organizational Act, the practices in violation of Georgia law. She's using this law against Arrington, Fani, and the Fulton County Ethics Board. Wow. Wow. Can you believe that? She's giving Fani a taste of Fani's own medicine. Mesha realleges and incorporates by reference all the preceding paragraphs. She's using this. This is the law right here. This is the RICO law. I'm not going to read that to you guys. We've done it enough. Arrington tampered with evidence by speaking to Fani about the case before she was sworn in. Arrington influenced witnesses by encouraging Monson to file a false claim against a judge. Arrington made false statements when he filed fraudulent motions when he was the defense attorney for 3 months. Arrington committed bribery when he releases money to the DA's office in exchange for preferential treatment when he was a criminal defense attorney. Arrington committed intimidation of a court officer when he negotiated with former DA Paul Howard and current DA Fani Willis instead of the ADAs who were assigned to the case. More on Arrington. Defendant Fani engaged in a pattern of racketeering by what? Bribery and obstruction of justice. Fani engaged in bribery when she gave Arrington and Monson, his client, preferential treatment under the law. Fani obstructed justice when she failed to properly investigate the criminal cases against Monson, offered him a plea deal that was inconsistent, and failed to prosecute his probation violations. This claim is brought pursuant to, the RICO law, which provides a civil action remedy for any person aggrieved from violations of RICO. This statute also provides injured parties with a cause of actions for 3 times the actual damages sustained. So whatever the jury finds she is owed, they will times it by 3. And where appropriate, punitive damages. Such injured parties shall also be entitled to recover attorney's fees. What does Mesha want? What is her prayer for relief? Mesha requests a judgment from court. She wants compensatory damages, which is money. She wants economic losses on all claims. She wants special damages in the amounts determined by trial. She wants punitive damages designed to punish. She wants attorney's fees for everything that had to do with this lawsuit. And she wants pre and post judgment interest. She wants interest for this. And then she wants a jury trial. That's it. Guys, what a movie. What a movie. She used RICO against Fani. What a movie. All right, let me go back to the supers. I have a few cash apps. I missed a few of you guys. I took a little bit of a break. Shout out to Brandon L. Jet, BLJ. He says, just stop through to show support. Hope all is well, AV7. Thank you so much, BLJ, who also sent me a text to say, hey, I sent you a super chat. I'm like, I see it. I'm going to come to it. BLJ, thank you so much. I hope you're doing well and having a great day. Always good to see you. He is one of my first moderators, guys, and one very special subscriber where from time to time I might bounce ideas off of him because he's been with me for such a long time. If you guys could type in BLJ in the chat, that would be fantastic. He's just so special to me, and I'm really happy that he stopped by. Hope you're having a great day, BLJ. Shout out to ZT Den. I can't always participate in chat. Thank you so much for the $10, by the way. But I'm always lurking behind the scenes and listening. Thanks for doing all the research just to drop on us knowledge and facts. You rock. Thank you so much, ZT Den. I really appreciate that. And yeah, guys, you know, sometimes it's hard. Like, I will go and do some research, dig stuff up for you. Like, think about how to piece this together. When I do these streams, like, I literally sit down in the morning and, you know, I pull my little iPad out and I'm like, how do I want the flow of the stream to go? You know, that's why I wanted to start us off by hearing from Mesha herself, right? And then when I found this legal document, I'm like, wow, you know, there is a lot going on in Fulton County that so many of us can't see. All we saw was the debauchery that happened in court with Nathan and, you know, Fani and all the shenanigans. But at the same time, like, how can you be on the front lines of justice and you're trying to prosecute a president and trying to prosecute all these people? Meanwhile, you've got people in a jailhouse that's falling apart that are not getting their day in court. And you have a state representative that can't get a stalker to go away. He's supposed to help her. So I'm so happy to hear you say that, Z. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a valued part of the community as well. Shout out to great grandma Anon, who sends $2. She says, Fani needs to repent for lying in church. I mean, praying for her. Yes. Yes. I think that is what most people are really upset about. You know, some of us have religious ties. Some of us don't. But I think when you lie in a church, it is not very good to do that. It's not very good, to say the very least. I'm going to come over to Cash Apps because there is a big one that came in and I really want to acknowledge this person. I want to give a huge shout out to Eric Baker. Thank you so much, Eric. He sent me $100, guys, and he just became the stream sponsor. Eric, thank you. You know, I talk about it a lot. I try to open up with you guys, and sometimes I don't have time to do that because people are like, they'll unsubscribe because they're like, you take too long to get to the news. And I'm like, all right, listen, I have to read it. So you have to be patient. People are so impatient, Eric. They really are. If you guys can do me a favor, and I'm just going to put Eric B in the banner here. If you guys could type in Eric B in the chat, that would be fantastic. And what does Eric say? Eric says, we appreciate you and all your research, AV. Thank you. And again, guys, like, this is what I mean. I take the time to do it. I take the time to pull it up. I take the time to make sure that it makes sense to you when we do go through it, but also that you know the important parts. You people in Georgia watch this channel. People in Fulton County watch this channel. Is this enough to change your mind about who to vote for? Who knows? Will they change their minds? Who knows? Thank you guys so much for shouting out Eric. Eric, this is very, very generous of you. And again, you know, all of you guys that have been thanking me for the research, I really appreciate it. JJ's like, get to the news. They don't care. They don't care, JJ. They're just like, go. I'm like, all right, hi to you too. Like, they don't care. But Eric, again, thank you. Super generous. You do not have to send me a single dollar, but when you guys do, it really, it makes my day. But it also lets me know, like, the work that I'm doing is not going unnoticed. You guys care, and you could be anywhere. You could be watching any other content creator with this stuff, but you come here because you know it's entertaining. You know we have fun. You know we cut up in the chat, and you know we have a good time. So Eric, thank you again. Really, really appreciate that. All right, guys, I am all caught up in the supers. I also just wanted to mention too, I am going to be shifting to the Karen Reed case. Okay, so that's going to be happening very soon. I'm watching this one with Fani because we are hearing that the appeals court should be getting back to us very soon. I heard prediction that it was going to be this week. Tomorrow's Friday. We don't have an appeals decision yet, but ultimately what this appeal was is Trump and team were allowed by Judge McAfee to see if they can get Fani's office taken off of the case, right? We read that appeal to you guys. Me and the lead attorney did it. And we are waiting for that decision to come back from those judges. If we get that this week, of course, we're going to jump on it. If we don't, then it should be next week, but we're going to jump on that one. I want to give a huge shout out to Chalkboard Candles. I put it in the description, guys, and it's still going. It's still going, and we haven't even burned a lot of the wax off yet. It says that was cute. I have merch that says that was cute. When I'm talking about merch, the other update I want to give you guys too is when we started covering this case, we had so many different jokes and things of the like. We had Nathan saying that he had information. It was all in his head. So, we're going to turn that into some merch. The odor of mendacity, things like that. I have all those designs in place. We're going to try to get them up this weekend. So this weekend we have merch for the women, and it says that was cute. Info in the description box. But the men, you guys are going to get your merch this weekend. We're putting it up by Sunday. Watch my community tab because that's how you will know it's available. I'm going to order a few for me. So in the next few streams, I will be wearing the same type of merch with you guys. Members, again, membership has its privileges. Working on some offerings for members as well. My team and I are just thinking about how we're going to do memberships a little bit differently, but really make sure that you guys are getting a bang for your buck when it comes to memberships as well. Okay, we have a video coming out later tonight on this one. It's going to be the short, concise version. I went through the legal document with you guys and went through Mesha's speech from earlier in the week, but later today, you're going to get a short synopsis with the jail phone calls where we can hear Arrington himself and what he said about these judges on the phone with the stalker. You're going to want to stay tuned for this one. But anywho, I'm going to jump off of here and get some rest. Before I do, I see one super that came in. Joe, thank you so much. Shout out to Joseph Butler, who drops $10. He says she'll regret letting the Democratic Party gas her up to prosecute Trump. They don't care about her. They probably had no idea she was so messy. Peace. That's it. Joe is ending us off in the right way. He's just like, listen. Who would have, and that's the thing, when you vote for people, how do you know? And in tonight's video, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I actually have a very tiny clip from when Fani was running for office, and she made a promise to supporters that she already broke. I think it was something along the lines of not sleeping with people that work for you, like Paul Howard did. Woo! Listen, something like that, something along those lines. Okay. Well, listen, guys, I'm gonna jump out of here, but here's another one. Y'all don't want me to leave. Shout out to James ZW. He says, good day, AV, looking just as beautiful as the sun in Detroit. Is it warm there in Detroit? Let me know what the weather is like, James. Let me know what the weather is like. It is nice and sunny here in Atlanta today. What's the weather right now? Let me look. It is 86 outside. It's 86 degrees right now. So that's all good stuff. But thank you so much for the super, James. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for stopping by. All right. Hopefully nothing else pops in. It's 72 in Detroit today. Okay. Good. I like that. I like that you guys are enjoying it. All right, guys. I'm going to jump off of here. Hopefully another super doesn't come in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments section about the Mesha and Fani thing. Who will prevail? Let me know what you took out of this. I will be reading the comment section and interacting with all of you. Thank you so much for watching. Video tonight. We'll be back with Karen Reed tomorrow, and we'll be watching for the Fani appeal. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.